Hey everyone, this is Olay Shorunke from Laddering Your Success, and you're listening to the LYS Podcast.
Sunday. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. We're live here in Houston, Texas. We're not outside, but I tell you what, I'm about to be outside because it is a beautiful day. I don't know if you can see behind me. The sun is looking great. Getting closer and closer to the end of the school year. Lord Jesus, thank you. We are ready to go. But before we go, let's get some free LYS student mentoring going on. As always, it is me, Olay, Shorunke, my good friend, Festus, Amoye, our third, the three amigos, Daniel Hill, making time on a Sunday. Thank you so much for being here. How y'all doing today, gents?
Good.
Yeah, man, I'm blessed as always, man. And just you can see I'm a little scruffy this morning. I didn't take care of that, but other than that, man, I'm doing good.
You look good, man. You look good. You know,
man.
I was watching a TikTok the other day and it made me laugh so hard because it was like, you know, you're in your 30s when, and my boy got out the bed and he didn't even get up. He just sat on the edge of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
He just sat. He was like, you gotta think before you get up. You can't just get up.
Man.
He was thinking about inflammation. He was thinking about his Achilles. He don't know if it's torn or not. He just know it hurt when he walks.
It's like that. It's like that in real life, man. It's like that in real life.
He's talking about when you go down the stairs, you can't go too fast.
It's true. Them knees will buckle on you, man.
These things were just speaking to my spirit. You know, me and my brothers, we went to Post yesterday. Post Houston?
Yeah. I ain't been there yet. How's that?
It's a great venue, great spot for like the family, for couples, for individuals. It doesn't matter.
Now, where is that exactly? That's the Houston Chronicle spot, right?
No, everyone thinks it's the old Houston Chronicles, but it's actually the old Barbara Jordan post office off of Franklin near Congress, if I'm not mistaken. It's Franklin and Congress. It's not too far from U of H downtown. It's not too far from the old spaghetti warehouse, which is now McIntyre's.
Okay.
Yeah, it's down the street from the theater district. It's kind of right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Very close to the bayou, to Buffalo Bayou.
Yeah. Okay. What they got in there? What they doing in there?
It's a food hall. It's a music venue. It's an art exhibit type place. And they're not even done with it. If you go to the top, the roof floor has wonderful views of the skyline of the city of Houston. Very, very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Love it. Really good food spots. Always have some really cool activities going on. And so we went there, and I think we were walking, and my brother, my youngest brother, was running. And I told my other brother, I said, man, I remember when my tendons were fresh like that. Because I was just looking at the bounce. As he was running, he had so much bounce. And I was like, man, I remember when my ligaments were fresh like that.
Be out of gas, man. Yeah.
You do about 2-3 bounces and you're looking for water. You're looking for something to rehydrate, to continue on this journey. And then I look at my parents now and I'm just like, they still be moving. They don't really complain too much. Just because our parents were from that generation where it's like, complain for what? Who's going to listen to my complaints?
It's true. That's the thing. They don't change anything. They don't change anything. So
they're very consistent for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You can complain all you want to. It ain't going to help. But sometimes you got to get stuff off your chest. I realize that too. It's like, sometimes you just got to be like, dang, I hate this. Okay. Yeah. And then back to reality.
And then back to, for sure. Absolutely. Happy Sunday. Good afternoon, Amoye. How you doing?
Hey, Amoye.
Hello.
Hope you've been well. Good seeing you.
It's good seeing y'all too. Sorry if you hear stuff in the background. I'm helping with my little cousins.
Oh, no worries. I mean, that's dedication. Thank you so much for coming in while you still got all these priorities and things you got to do going on. Appreciate it so much. All right, folks. So before we get started, I want to, and I hope I did this correctly here. I kind of worked on some things here.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead, share what you got.
All righty. Let me get my downloads. Here. There are many different ways that you can communicate with us, right? If you're out there on if you're out there on your cell phone or on your computer at home, many different ways you can get in contact with us. So let me pull this up for you. Instagram, LYS Students, Be No Do LYS. On Facebook, Laddering Your Success. YouTube, Laddering Your Success, and on TikTok, LYS of course, and we have our email. That is info@ladderingyoursuccess.com. Let me run through that little deal one more time, hopefully without that deal in there. There you go. Laddering Your Success, Facebook, Laddering Your Success on YouTube, Laddering Your Success on TikTok, LYS and info@ladderingyoursuccess.com. Get in contact with us. Mentoring on the side. You got a friend that needs help, you're an organization, and you're trying to get our services. Please do not hesitate. Find us and come communicate with us. Let us know whatever you need so we can talk about those things. Oh, okay. I see what I did here. I got to do a new share. I'm sorry. So let's get into our topics for this week. Oh, before we even get started with that, let me show one thing. This was one thing I saw on the LYS Drive when I was looking, and I thought it was super funny. It says, me, check over your answers before finishing your exam. And your inner me is saying, leave it. You wrote what you wrote. And I thought this was really funny because this is what I feel a lot of our students deal with. You know, whenever and I know you can attest to this, Mr. Hill, whenever we're taking exams, you know, we do like these interim exams or we're getting ready for the state test. We always try to give the kids like test taking strategies to make sure they're as successful as they can be. And a lot of them will just finish it. And in their mind, whatever I put down is what I put down. They have a very God doesn't make mistakes mindset when it comes to these things. It's like, I'm done. Did you go back and check it? No, sir. No, sir. God don't make mistakes. I put C 12 times in a row. God don't make mistakes. If it's his will, it's his will. And it's like, well, he also gave you knowledge, wisdom to be able to go back and check your answers one time to make sure you didn't miss something. Because I know my kids, they like to go fast. So it just made me think about that. That was really funny. I feel like Amoye doesn't have those types of issues. Amoye, you seem like you go back 2-3 times to make sure you got all your answers. She's probably working back there.
Oh yeah, she be working, bro.
Oh man. So folks, I wanted to show y'all new website alert. We've had a website for a long time, but we've recently been working to revamp our website, make our website better, more interactive, more ways for you to get in contact with us, more ways for you to interact with the LYS services and what we offer. Our blog is there. Please take a look at our blog. Wonderful ideas, wonderful concepts, wonderful issues that we're going over in our blogs and talking about so that we can interact with you. So please go in there and check that out. www.ladderingyoursuccess.com, right? And this is in addition to the Instagram, the TikTok, the YouTube, the email, the Facebook, right? All those different options out there. So last week, we talked about influence, right? We started to talk a little bit about influencing the people around you, right? So some of the things that we talked about were people around you can affect who you are, right? And this can be for good or for bad, right? And then we talked about how do we correct those weaknesses in our lives? How do we correct those issues of people who may be leading us down the wrong path, right? And then we talked about something that's super, super, super important and very, very, very underutilized these days, and that's simply conflict resolution. And I feel like when we're young, as young people, we hear these things like conflict resolution, and we don't even realize that we use these things. Like, it's conflict resolution, but when you're talking to your friends, you're probably saying something like, man, I went off on him. I went off on her. Man, I let them know what's up. Folks, that's conflict resolution, right? Look, man, if you keep doing this, I ain't talking to you no more, man. I hate the fact that you keep talking to people about my name instead of coming right to me. Man, that's really pissing me off, all right? Man, you keep doing that, like, just don't even talk to me no more. When you see me in the hallways, don't even talk to me no more. You got something you want to say, tell it to somebody else, tell it to me. Honestly, man, like, I don't like it no more. And I'm gonna tell old dude as well, the other dude you've been talking to, I'm gonna tell him in the cafeteria because I'm tired of it. Folks, that's conflict resolution. Just look at the steps I went through. What are you willing to lose or gain? That's when I said, I'm not talking to you anymore. Identify the problem. I'm tired of you talking about my name. Identify why you're upset. I don't appreciate you talking about my name. talking about things that may not have nothing to do with me. 2 to 4 options. If you want to talk to me, talk to this other person. When you see me in the hallway, don't talk to me no more. Arrange a time and a place to discuss the matter and tell them why you're meeting. I'm going to tell that other person in the cafeteria. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't the best way, right? Mainly because of the tone that I use. All I'm saying is we do these things already and we don't even realize what we're doing.
Bro, you know what you just reminded me of?
Hmm?
You reminded me of American Gangster. From now on, none of y'all talk to me. You talk to who you. Like,
was that when someone saying the?
Yeah, and then they was all getting in trouble and stuff. But I just thought, man, yeah, it's like that. You know what I mean? Like, how do you create that space so that you don't go off, so you don't get yourself in trouble or don't say the wrong thing? Because so often a lot of conflict can be resolved by just not opening your mouth too quickly. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, go ahead. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. So as we talked about when we talked about a conflict resolution. Yes, Daniel, sorry, he just put a message. That's the A-Leaf conflict resolution tone. Most def the A-Leaf resolution tone for sure. So when it comes to conflict resolution, we talk about a couple of things. We talk about what are you willing to lose? What are you willing to gain? Right? When you're resolving this conflict, identify the problem. And I think this is like key. This is super, super important. You need to be able to see and identify what is the issue. What's the main issue that brings us here today, right? And then you need to identify what about that issue is making you so upset. See, already you can start to think about, you are now having to verbalize. You may not think about it, folks. This is interpersonal exercise. All right, this is push-ups, this is jumping jacks, this is high knees, this is calf raises, this is bench press for your mind, for your growth as an individual, as a person. Create 2 to 4 options for resolving the conflict based on step 1, which was what are you willing to lose or gain, and what you have discovered. And lastly, arrange a time and a place to discuss the matter and tell them why you're meeting. Now think about that in comparison to the example that I gave you. Of course, when you do this, I just think if you're in the 7th, 8th grade and you do something like this, this is going to freak people out. You're going to freak people out because people who aren't used to doing these types of things are going to see you as, it goes right past them, right? It's going to be so surreal for them. It's not going to feel like an actual moment. The moment is just going to be too big for them. So by then, you kind of already set the tone that, hey, I'm ready to deal with this in a very mature manner. All right? And this is kind of what we talked about last week. This week, we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about how we even get into situations like this. How do we find these people that have influence in our lives? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to everybody watching on Facebook Live. Thanks for watching. Please leave a message for us. Tell us where you're from. If you're watching on Facebook Live, just tell us where you're from. And yeah, so we're talking about influence. So go ahead, Olay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Shout out to all of those. Man, it means so much when you're able to take, I don't care if you take 30, 20 seconds, 10 seconds to just click in and see what's going on here, because we don't know, you don't know what that 10 seconds can turn into, right? So thank you so much for joining in. All right, so talking about influence. Influence is the ability to affect someone's way of thinking. Think about today's world that we live in. Think about the medium, all the different types and forms and mediums that we are able to get in information, right? Outside of people, our parents, our family, our friends, our mentors, right? Our proteges, those who are under us. That is the ability to affect someone's way of thinking. When you think about that, that is a super powerful ability to have. Whether you're the person who is influencing or you're the person who's being influenced. That's why if you notice here on the bottom, it's not a 9-volt battery, which it looks like you're looking down at a 9-volt battery, but we're saying that influences can either be positive or negative. Now, you may have situations where, you have an influence that's somewhere like right here, like in between. You can't see it. I'm trying to color right now. you have an influence at somewhere right here, like in between. But you really won't even be paying attention to a lot of those influences because they're neutral. So you don't know where they are. So you really won't be able to make a decision on those things. So you'll kind of just push those out of the way. You can definitely tell those who are making a positive decision or a positive influence and those who have a negative influence on you, on your way of thinking, right? Now we got some questions. This is a really super important exercise. You know, LYS is geared towards, you know, students. And when I say students, I mean, you know, kind of from the 6th grade and on. But, you know, as I went through this, I was like, I kind of had to go back and look at this on myself because I was like, who are my real influences? Who are the people who affect my thinking? And so that's the first question here. Who are your influences? Who are those people that affect your thinking? Who are those people that affect your thinking? So what I want you to do is, if you have the time, if you don't have the time now, no worries, do it whenever you have the time. Just get a sheet of paper and just write that question down. Who are your influences, right? And then right under that, 1, mom and dad. 2, you know, my best friend. 3, my aunt. 4, whoever around you. And I want you to think before you write those down. I want you to think about those who are able to influence or those who are able to have an effect on how you think. I don't want you to think of someone who's just like, oh, I talk to this person every day. I want you to think about what they say and how it affects you. If this person says things to me and I just go and do it, you know. I was having a conversation with my brother about that because my brother was telling me that, you know, his influences, whatever they say, he takes them as gospel and he just runs with it. So if I tell him to do something, like if he asks me for advice, whatever I say, he'll do it.
You know.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, man, that's real key, especially as you transition, you know, because a lot of young people, you know, at least the people we're talking to, they're in this space of transition. And so I was listening to this podcast. He said, he was talking about his children, and he said there's 3 T's when it comes to children. I think he said training, teaching, transitioning. No, training, teaching, trusting, right? And so he said, when they're young, I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm just telling you what to do, right? I'm just telling you what to do. Then as you start to get a little older, I got to start teaching you what to do. And then I eventually have to start trusting you with what you have been taught, right? And the thing is, now obviously this dude, I think his name was Myron, was very just like, wow, profound way of thinking. But I think about kids sometimes who come from, you know, kind of backgrounds like us, where, you know, our parents were there telling us what to do, but sometimes they never really transitioned to the teaching us what to do as well, right? Like they just, hey, I said, do this. And sometimes they had a hard time with the, hey, look, let me show you why this is important. Let me explain to you what this means when you do this thing. You know what I mean? And then what happens is when you go to transition into adulthood, you're doing a lot of things out of compulsion and you don't quite know why you're doing them. You know what I mean? And so a lot of young people, a lot of, you know, and I could just imagine in the classroom, a lot of teachers struggle with kids and they're like, why don't they behave? And why aren't you behaving? And it's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just being told I'm doing what I was told, or I'm doing what I've seen. Especially a lot of kids, I think it's even what they've seen or what they think that they've seen, because perspective is everything, right? What they think they've seen in a family member or a friend. You know what I mean? I like to use that 106 in Park analogy, right? Like, you remember like getting off from school, it's like, oh, I gotta get home, I'm gonna watch 106 in Park. And you get there and then you're like, you're trying to watch 106 in Park because it's super entertaining. And then you realize like, or you start to think like, man, being an adult is like being on those music videos on 106 in Park. And it's like, being an adult is nothing like that. But because you didn't have any other examples, you didn't have anybody teaching you or training you or showing you anything, they just influenced you. Now all of a sudden you want the clothes that they show on 106 in Park. You want to do look like this, and you want to do like this, and you want to listen to all this stuff, and it's influenced you, but you didn't even know that it influenced you. And I think that's the big takeaway, like Amoye, I know you say, okay, I'm going to Bama. Why are you going to Bama? Did you really like process that? And I think that's really, really key that you do. Why? Because the thing is, once you've done that, your decision making goes to a whole nother level, right? And Amoye, we done talked about it before, and I know we hear, you know what I'm saying? But that influence, understanding who influences you and how you influence them is key. So yeah, let me turn it back over to you, Olay. Thanks.
No, absolutely. You reminded me about this. As soon as you said that, I sent my brother a message. I was like, hey, come to this right now. Hey, you need to hear about this. But you hit the nail on the head, And you even reminded me in the classroom about, like, I always have to keep that in perspective, that, what my kids are doing, especially with COVID, has really, what they've been through has really affected their ability to, like, be their own person. And the things that I think that they know, right? Trying to not make assumptions. The things that for me are just like instinctual, they have trouble with. And so for me, that easily gets me frustrated. So it's just like keeping those things in mind. So that's very, very deep, and that's very true. Absolutely.
Absolutely. We got Daniel got something to say. Daniel, you want to hop on?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. Man, that was key what you said, man. I was just thinking, like, people do so much stuff that the craziest thing is they, like, don't even know why they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Why you going over here? Why you doing this? Like, actually want to do this, but what's the main reason? You know what I'm saying? It's like this. I used to tell my students, we would always want to do this project for school, right? You know what I'm saying? Job career project. And all these kids want to talk about, oh yeah, I want to go to this college. And I was like, but why? You know what I'm saying? Have you ever asked yourself why you want to go to school? They was like, well, because this. I said, okay. And then I asked them, and now I would ask them, what's your actual job thing you want to do? So we would look up some job thing. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I want to go to this school over here for like something with the ocean, right? You know what I'm saying? Or something with like animals in the ocean, the sea, right? I was like, why would you go to Oklahoma for that, bro?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, man, go ahead, bro.
No, you hit the nail on the head. You have a passion for the ocean, but because somebody influenced you, you going to Nebraska and Oklahoma, where ain't no bodies of water over there. What are you talking about?
Ain't no water. And then we would talk about all different type of things. Like they would talk about stuff with like pay scale and all this. I was like, okay, all right, check this. Y'all want to go over here. The pay scale for this job over here is only $30,000, but the cost of living is $300,000. But you go over this place, it pays you $80,000, $90,000. Where the houses only cost $120,000. So I'm like, bro, y'all gotta know why y'all doing these things. Because if you don't, y'all be broke and sad. That's why I tell them every time, bro.
You bring up a really good point, and I think the point is that you live with the decisions that you're influenced to, whether you know them or not.
Facts. That was a good one. Yeah.
And that's the thing to me. That's the biggest thing about this is you're gonna live out those consequences of those decisions. So you really got to know you really got to know your why, and what was the motivation of the person who told you the thing they told you. You know, growing up, we used to have what we call crash test dummies. And so you would just say, hey, yo, go do this thing. And that person would just be like, okay. And it was like, they're a crash test dummy. You just want to watch what happened, right? Because guess what? We didn't have nothing better else to do. It's sad, but it's like that sometimes in life. And so you got to really know why people are telling you to do the things that they're telling you to do. But yeah, Olay, continue, please.
Yeah. Hey, yo, that's awesome, man. Shout out to my brother Shola, man. Thank you for clicking on that link, man. We were just talking about you, so I said, let me get my brother on this. I think he
most definitely. Shola,
benefit for some of this stuff. You know, you reminded me, man. We lived in apartments back in Spring Branch back in the day, man. And I think we had a kid like that. We would be like, hey, do this. And I think one day we put him in like a shopping cart and we gave him a helmet and we would just like push him down.
Oh man.
Oh man, we was crazy, man. But this is what happens when kids get to go outside. You get to explore and do crazy things like that, man. Yeah, but awesome, man. All right, let's take a look at the next question. So we talked about who are your influences, and then look at this question, right? This kind of goes right into what we were talking about. Why? We talked about who before, but now why? Why do you let them influence you? Is it something about them? Is it because other people go to them? Is it because you see benefits of them being around you? Are they just a good friend? Do they always have your back? Right? Why do you let them influence you? One of the things I notice these days with my students is they have influences. They're just friends. They're really good friends. But they're always getting in trouble. Always getting in trouble. Like they go around, they play together, but on the way home, something will happen. I'll find out about it the next day at school. And it'll be like, y'all are friends, but what's the real influence here? Which direction are they pushing you towards, right? So that's a very important thing. Next to who, right? This is a person who is influencing. Now tell me, why do you let them influence you? I want y'all to think about this in comparison or in relation to the conflict resolution that we just talked about, right? Earlier when we first started. All of these things that you're doing, this is mental gymnastics. This is mental exercise, right? Because now you have to verbalize. Now you have to think and you have to put it out there. Why do you let them influence you? This is like self-counseling, essentially, when you think about it. Like you're correcting it within yourself, right?
No, 100%. And the thing is, literally, when you go to a counselor, a decent counselor anyway, is they just really try to get you to get these mental tools to check on yourself and to to regulate yourself better, right? Have more self-control. And so I did want to kind of pitch this to Amoye and Shola. Y'all don't have to answer if you don't want to, but it's good for us to hear you guys' feedback. Like, what do you think about this so far in terms of this topic and some of the things that we've covered so far? Like, give us a little bit of feedback. Shola, I know you came in late, but yeah, if you just want to unmute and give us some feedback, we'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir. No problem. Hello, everyone. My name is Shola, and yeah, from what I've heard so far, I can already relate to a little bit of it from what Mr. Olay said about the self-regulation of your mental thinking. It's like there's like when you just said yourself, Brother Festus, that a good therapist they try to get you to see how you're thinking and how you can navigate the different how you can change the way you think to find the outcome that you would want. I think that's really relatable to what young people are going through now, trying to unlearn a lot of that newfound damage that they realize that they had no control over. And I think it's good advice for young people these days. So yeah.
Much appreciated, man. Much apprecited. Thank you. That helps us because then we know, okay, are we in the right direction or we need to change this thing? Olay, you want to continue? Thank you.
Absolutely, for sure. And Shola, you don't need to call me Mister.
Bro, I was laughing at that on the inside. I said,
you see, that's the influence of culture, which we will be talking about in the next couple of weeks.
That's huge, man. That's huge. Give him the game, bro. Give him the game.
For sure, man. All right. So, third question here. We talked about who. We talked about why. Now let's talk about what. Look at this question. What have these people done that you choose to be your influences? After you've asked why, you've allowed yourself to be influenced by them. What have they done to earn your trust? What have they done to earn your trust? When you sit back and you look at this question, for the top of my head, if you say nothing, you may, that's like, the record scratch where like everyone's dancing, it's like, they ain't done nothing to earn your trust, but you're literally giving them power over yourself to turn your left or right. I'm gonna let y'all talk about it.
No,
what have they done to earn your trust?
That's huge. Is like when you think about it, especially I know growing up growing up for me, being so influenced by hip hop, you know what I'm saying? It was like, why? You know what I mean? And it wasn't until my early 20s that one day I was just riding, I think I was listening to like 97.9. I was like, man, I gotta change the station. This station just, it's like, why am I listening to this over and over again? You know what I mean? And then, they play the same top 20. It's like, no, I don't want to hear the same songs from the same people all over all the time. And so it's crazy because I think, who was the first person to introduce me to Kanye? Somebody introduced me to Kanye. I think it might have been, it was somebody, I forgot who. And his music was so different, but it was still hip hop, you know what I mean? But at that time, I still went into listening to, man, I started listening to like, what people consider the stations, you know what I'm saying? The Eagles and Sunny 99.1, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, hey, man, look, I just want something different, you know what I mean? And see, what ends up happening when you have a bunch of influences and you don't know how, like exactly why they are influencing you or how they're influencing you, sometimes you'll just start lashing out, and you'll see this a lot of times in young people where it's like all of a sudden they were looking like this, and next they just change their look drastically. And especially Amaya, I know you're in high school getting ready to go to college. You're gonna see a lot of people change up. You're gonna see a lot of people change. Like once you leave and you come back and you're like, whoa, such and such who I knew was in high school, they totally changed up. But then even on campus, you're gonna see a bunch of people change up. You know what I'm saying? Like the people who, oh yeah, we cool as Frenchmen. Now next thing you know, they bouncing around and you're like, why are they like that? It's almost like they're bipolar. And it's literally because all these mental gears are switching in their minds. And Shola, you're probably seeing that now on the fact that you left high school, you went to college, now you're back, and now it's like getting ready to get in like adulting career time, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, dang, that was fun, but these people changed up on me. And then now I got to figure out for myself, like, how am I going to live and how, am I going to continue to let these people have influence on me? Am I going to continue to trust them with how I'm going to move my life forward? These are some really hard questions you're going to have to ask yourself. So yeah, thank you, Olay.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just huge. That is huge. And I'm going to lie to you. The biggest thing here, the most important question that I'm looking here, the most important word that I'm looking at here is trust. Because trust is so much. My dad used to tell me, don't trust anyone. My dad said, don't even trust me. But what I think he was talking about is, I think he was talking about the fact that, if I say I'm going to do something, anything can happen to where the thing that I said I was going to do, something out of my power stops me from doing it, right? So trust is very important for people. And you're going to realize as you get older, I guarantee you, your circle will get even smaller. As you get older, as you get wiser, as you become more successful, I don't even know if I want to say like the more successful you get, the smaller your circle gets, because you'll realize that the common factor there is those people that are all around you are people that you can trust. It's a huge key. It's a huge key. And when you talk about being influenced, if you're becoming more successful, right, and you need people around you that you can trust, as you get more successful, you realize that that equation kind of works, right? These people that I trust equals me becoming more successful. If that equation is correct in your life, you're not going to have any need to change it. Why? Because you're growing, right? But what happens if it's the other way, right? You have all these people around you and you're just like confused. You're lashing out at people. You're just not feeling right? You feel like you're stagnant, meaning there's no movement. There's no upward movement. You're just kind of where you are. Take a look around you. Who are those influences? Why do you let them influence you? What have they done to earn your trust? You know what's going to start happening? That you're going to hear that iconic line from Martin. You used to be my homie. Now you act like you don't know me. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. Because on that movement towards growth, on that movement when you're laddering your success, those things they're just bound to happen. That's literally growth. It hurts. No one said it's going to be fun. this person for my life. No, it's gonna suck because some of these people you've known for a long time. But in order to grow, in order to better yourself, you have to grow. And this doesn't always happen, but this does happen from time to time where you let these people go, and that person that you let go may make a 180, right? Or in some cases, maybe even, well, I can't say a 360 because that means you're coming right back to where you started. So we'll say a 180, or maybe they're almost there. Maybe they make a 90 degree and you kind of catch them off. You catch up with them a little bit later in life, and y'all can reminisce on that moment and appreciate the fact that you are where you are now, So wonderful, wonderful. All right, let's take a look at this next question. Fire. I should have put a fire emoji right under this because this is a fire question. Now we're talking about who do you influence? Mentioned this a little bit last week. The question here, who do you influence? One of the things that kind of shocked me was the fact that I had no idea how many people I influenced. And that made me feel really happy and proud, but it also made me really scared, right? Because I'm out here trying to figure out my life. I'm out here trying to do my thing. I'm out here trying to, find my passion. I'm out here trying to, make friends, good friends that can help me grow. I'm out here trying to establish, and do all these things. And in that process, there are people that are looking at you, asking you questions that you don't realize are helping them do the exact same thing. See, this world is almost like billions of people just moving in motion amongst each other. And we're all just kind of interacting with each other, and we're all just moving apart, moving up and down, and we're just influencing others, and we don't even realize, right? And it's not until you meet these people. And the crazy thing is, like, I've had friends who have told me, who are doing great things, and they're like, you've influenced me this way, this way, this way. And I'm like, but you're doing amazing things. And so that makes me really happy. That makes me really proud. But it also makes me very scared because I don't know who I'm influencing. That feeling that you get where like people could be looking at me for motivation. I don't even know how. And the whole time you're like, I'm confused myself. Right?
Bro, this kind of brings back up, because again, I'm kind of hip hop head, we're hip hop heads to a certain degree. And man, when you think about this from a Rockefeller perspective, but this is the person I really want to talk about is Master P. Okay, I know Amoye, you probably way too young to know anything about Master P. Olay, you know a little bit about the Maker Sense. So anyway, did you know that part of the reason why Rockefeller got the deal that they got with Def Jam was because of Master P? Did you know that? Bro, so this is the thing. When Master P, because he had, and you should definitely go check out the chronicles on Master P. It was super dope. The fact that he went and got that 85-15 deal, right, which was the best record deal at the time. He went and met with Dame Dash and Jay-Z and Biggs in New York and explained to them the deal. But I'm guessing, this is just my guess. I don't know if this can be true or not. But the thing is, I guess maybe they couldn't front the whole deal, so they ended up doing a 50-50 deal with Def Jam. So that's how they were able to keep a lot of their rights to their music and to the stuff that they made, because they were doing 50-50 deals. Now, the thing is, again, I can't say, exactly why it went 50-50 versus a 85-15. But if you look at that today, because people are seeing like the whole Dame Dash, Jay-Z is suing Dame Dash, whatever, for that record. And it's the fact that they still have ownership of what they built. And why do I say all this? It's because, do you feel you have equitable ownership in your relationships when it comes to the level of influence, right? And this is key. I'm about to give y'all some sauce right here, okay? Oftentimes, a lot of times, young people don't feel like they could go to somebody that they look up to and ask them to mentor them or ask them for, whatever it is, right? Whatever type of relationship. And usually that's not the case. Actually, usually a lot of these old heads or unks or people like me, where it's a little thin on top, they're actually looking for people to mentor, you know what I mean? But the thing is, they're busy with their lives themselves. But sometimes it's really helpful for you to just be like, hey, look, can I get you a cup of coffee? Or do something small for them, right? And I'll give you one example, because this is how I was taught. When there's somebody you really look up to and you want to kind of get it, just find the one or two things that you could do to try to help them out, and watch how it helps you out. So I'll say this name. A lot of people know this name, Julian Gordon, right? So the first time I met Julian Gordon, he did his presentation at this thing called ScholarCon. I met him there again the next year. And again, my wires was up, because I'm like, yo, you kind of in a lane I'm trying to get in, right? So after he did his presentation, right, this is what I did to get closer to him. But at the same time, it's a little, I'm telling you guys, this is a little sauce, this is a little game. He did his presentation. He had this line of people ready to go meet him, but he didn't have any kind of assistant or any help. I was like, what do you need me to do? That simple question, we ended up talking for about an hour and a half afterwards. And he gave me a lot of sauce on life, a lot of game on life, you know what I'm saying? About, okay, how to get to the next level where I wanted to go, which is, again, why we're doing LYS today. Literally, I made the LYS pitch that weekend when we had this conversation. So he said, oh, you know what? All these people in this line, just take their emails down for me. Okay, cool, I got you. I'm taking their emails, like 20 some emails. So that little ask of what do you need me to do, and me providing some service to him, ended up in an hour conversation. Would he remember me if we met today? Probably not, because obviously he's changing a bunch of lives with what he's doing with the real estate and everything like that. But it gives you an opportunity to pick their brain. So I would tell you this, Shola, Amaya, if you guys are like, man, dang, I'm struggling getting to that next level, there's somebody who I really think could help me get to that next level, just if you figure something out, maybe it's after church, after school, after wherever it is you're interacting with them, just try to find that one thing you could do for them. Hey, can I carry that bag for you? Hey, can I do this for you? Hey, you need some help on the weekend with something? And just take that little moment, and that can develop into a relationship where you can get your questions asked and things like that. Olay, thanks.
Wonderful, absolutely. And the crazy thing is, you said if I met Julian Gordon today, do you think you'd probably remember me? Probably not. You'd be very surprised, man. I think a lot of these folks, I think we forget that other people are human too.
Very true.
And so, people do these things, and it's like, dude, I don't remember your name, but I remember what you did for me. And it goes to that Maya Angelou quote, right? People may not remember your name, but they remember how you made them feel. Right. And that's one of those things I always try to think about when teaching is you ain't got to remember any of the stuff I taught you. Right. I would love for you to. I would hope that some of it sticks. Right. But I feel like when I talk to my kids from past years and they're like, oh, and they're happy, my hope is that they just remember the feeling that I gave them being in the class. I know for me, with all my old teachers, if you ask me, I'm kind of weird. This is kind of how I know I'm supposed to be a teacher. I can pretty much name you every single teacher from pre-K till now, even a lot of my college professors.
That is very weird, bro. That is weird.
Yeah.
I only remember a handful, man.
Yeah, the good ones, the bad ones. It's the horrible.
That is a dorky. Yeah, I haven't heard that word dork in a while, but that is dorky.
Yeah. You see, this is
That is dorky. But no, man, for real, shout out to those educators who really changed lives, man. Like, man, who am I thinking? My fourth grade teacher, she was Miss Jenkins. She was a powerhouse, man. And I think she got MS, man. And then she stopped teaching. But no, go ahead. What were we talking about next?
Yeah, so who do you influence? Absolutely. I'm sorry, I was laughing that you hit a heel put in their dork. So it just had me rolling when you said that. But, I realized that I respond very well to influential people. And one thing I noticed about me, for good or for bad, right? Fortunately now I'm able to pull those, I'm able to easily discern if this is a good influence and do what I can and keep them around me to help me grow and stuff like that. But I think that's part of the reason why I remember those people is because I take a little bit of every single person that I meet, because I feel like, everyone has a story, everyone is fascinating. And so that's one of those things that you have to think about. I feel like there's a question you want to ask someone, whoever's watching this wants to ask. And I feel like the question you want to ask is, how do I know I influence people? I feel like that's a major thing. I feel like, if I was 17 and someone would ask me, who do you influence? My first question would be, how do I know I influence them? Right? So, and we can talk about this, and that's why I'm bringing it up. If I could go back, I think I would pay attention to the questions that people ask me. And that has a lot to do with our key principle that we're going to go over, right? You can tell a lot about people based off of the questions that they ask you. When people ask you certain questions, they're asking you because they want your insight. They feel like you have the skill, you have the mindset that will lead them in the right direction. Think about it. The average person knows so many people. They got family members, they got friends, but they came to you. They may have went to a couple other people, but it's just a couple, right? You're one of that couple that they went to gain some insight on, right? So if someone's asking you questions, not questions like how was your day, but questions about certain situations, that's something that you want to pay attention to. This isn't really a tip it is kind of a tip. You got to be observant. You got to be very, very observant. What does that mean? You have to be able to use your 5 senses. You got to be able to look and see who's paying attention to what you do, right? You got to be able to see who's really paying attention to the things that you say. All right. And I'm literally just basing this off of 5th and 6th graders that I see around me, right? If there are people that naturally just always come to you and hang around with you, you're probably influencing those people. Right? Just people that just randomly come up to you and talk to you, you're influencing them. Now, you could be influencing them just with something as simple as, and it definitely has a lot to do have a lot to do with being an adult, is how you say good morning. Is this person cheerful every day? Or is this person kind of like down in the dumps, down in the weeds, right? Those are some of the things that you can look for to see who do you influence, right? Anyone else have something they want to throw into there, or a question, anything, comment they want to throw in about who do you influence? Nope. Cool. All right, let's go to this next one. Now, what kind of influence are you on others? See, so we're talking about before, who do you influence? Now, what kind of influence are you on others, right? Now you got to look back inside of yourself, right? So think about the things that you say. Think about the things that you say to them or around them, right? Think about what you do to them. Think about what you do around them, right? Think about the actions you have. You got to pay attention to all of those things. Are you being a positive influence on others, or are you being a negative influence on others, right? You got to think about all of those things. They go a long way. Long way, right? And I think this is awesome again, because this is levels. This is leveled on each other when you're thinking about how those who have influences on you kind of determine the type of influence that you have on others, right? And that's kind of that how can I describe it? That flow, right? That way that life kind of flows. The way you influence others or the way your influence affects the way you influence others. It's one of those things that kind of flows. So that's one of those super awesome things. Festus, you just sent me something. Do you want to play this here?
No, we're not going to play it live, but I did want to, especially for people who join us, I always want to give game and give resources, even though they might not be our resources directly, which we do have resources available online that are free. There's a book called Question Behind the Question, and so, or QBQ. And so I dropped a little excerpt from that from YouTube for Maya and Shola to check out. So copy that link, but not only copy the link, if you can, try to find the full audiobook for free, or ebook, or it's actually a hard copy book, get it from the library. But it's a career development book that will help you to, as Olay was saying, understand the question behind the person behind the questions that they ask. So I just wanted to drop that. Go ahead, Olay.
Beautiful. Ooh, that's beautiful. I mean, keep that for myself as well. And that's the beautiful thing about people is we take in all this information. We take in all this information, put all the information in, and then we just go. And so what you'll see in life is we take a little bit of this information that we got from that, we use it for this situation. Got a little bit for that information for that, we use it for this situation. And we just kind of use it whenever. So I think that's an awesome resource to kind of help you figure out the type of person based off of that. I need to look into that. That's really awesome. Man. So absolutely, like we said before, what kind of influence are you on others? Are you an influence for the better, or are you an influence for the worse? If you feel like you have a lot of negative, maybe traits, or you do a lot of things that make you a negative influence, it's not a bad thing. All you're doing is you're taking those fingers, as like I said, whenever you point at someone, you got 3 pointing back at you. You're just taking those 3 fingers that are pointing right back at you, and you're asking yourself some questions to help you understand, right? And to make you a better person. You can now start to work and fix on those things. I don't know if you're like me. I'm the type of person where whenever I try to build a new trait or build a new habit, I usually go, if it's like from 0 to 100, I usually go like about 98, 97, 98. I'll give you an example. My new thing that I'm working on is learning to say no. So guess what I say no to? Everything. Hey, Mr. Shorunke, no. Hey, Olay, no. Hey, no. I just say no to everything. And then slowly what happens is I slowly start to dial it back, right? Till I get to about like a 50, 60 range, right? And then I'm able to actually start thinking about the things. And I start asking, is this something that I really need? Is this something that's really gonna benefit me? Is this something that I can actually commit myself to? And the beautiful thing about it is now is when I say no, I give like this full essay as to why I cannot do it. And by the time I'm done, the person listening is either like, "Whew, well, you wearing me out, boy," or they're like, "I get it, I understand. You've thought about it, and you've made a well thought out decision." And that's just that little step.
That's huge, because oftentimes when I ask for favors, I thank people for even the consideration sometimes. Because you have to think about the mental energy sometimes that people commit towards something and say, man, should I or could I, let alone for them to get up and actually do anything, because a lot of people just really aren't that helpful sometimes, which again, there's no knock against them. It's their life. They do whatever they want with their life. You know what I mean? But that's part of us even being considerate to others, is give them the space to kind of say no to us, right? And so the thing is, if I would kind of, for Amoye, Shola, just young people listening to this everywhere, is learn the power of your no regarding being influential and who you influence. Learn to say no to others, even those people who influence you sometimes in a positive way. Why is that? Because not everybody is 100% good or 100% bad, right? And you guys could check out the TikTok, or they did some TikToks on like good versus evil and what team you're on and stuff like that, which were really powerful. But the thing is, sometimes you have to have the power to tell those people who influence you no, otherwise they're kind of idols in a sense, right? And the thing is, some people don't even know why idol's bad, but there's 100 million reasons why they're bad, right? But you want to be able to have some control and autonomy of your life. And so that's why sometimes you have to tell even your parents, especially you're kind of getting to that stage, you have to be able to develop and articulate a way to be able to tell them no, but have them understand, kind of like Olay said, hey, nah, I can't do that right now because this. But then you could always give them other options. This is what I can do, right? Or we could revisit this. We could revisit this at another time, right? So just it's about dialogue, and that's the big thing. And that's the big thing about relationships, is an ongoing dialogue, because there might be times where somebody can't do something for me, And I'm like, okay, bet. But that doesn't mean, oh, that person, I hate that person. And that's how some people like get. They be like, Olay told me no. I'm gonna die.
You know what? You're done. You're done. It's over. You're done.
Exactly. You turn into Agent Orange and start firing people off of like one no. Be like, can we count those votes again for me? They're like, nah, dog, we can't count. Oh, we can't. You're fired. You're fired. Be like, dog, we didn't count the votes. Like, but I don't know the way Biden acted. We might need. No, I'm tripping. I'm playing, man. Sorry, y'all. I play too much.
No worries, man. No worries. No, but that's it, man. I mean, that's such a good point, though. That is such a good point. I mean, and that's something that I forgot to think about is, you have to think about how powerful that is. What Festus just said. When someone needs to get something done, and of all the people, they said this person is someone that I think can get it done, and I want to utilize them. Like for them to put their energy on you and say that's someone that you thought about, that's a big deal. And that's one of those things that you don't want to take lightly. It's one of those things that's like, it kind of affirms some things, right? That you're able to execute, right? That you're a person that's, your passion is kind of being felt by others. So that's definitely an awesome thing to think about there. Oops, sorry. Let's go back here real quick. We're gonna wrap up here. I wanna put up this key principle number 12, right? Key principle number 12. You learn a person by the type of questions they ask. And this is why I said that key principle went perfectly well with what Festus was talking about a couple slides earlier, right? When he talked about the QVQ link. Think about a person by the types of questions that they ask. And I think about a lot of people that end up being mentors to me. They ask a lot of profound questions. I'll be talking to people and they just, I guess it's because when I do open up, I become very, what's the term? I just ask a lot of questions, right? I'll just ask a lot of questions. I just want to feed and just feed on information. And then that person will ask 2 or 3 profound questions that'll just have me dumbfounded. I just be like, oh. And then they really make you think, right? But you learn a person by the type of questions they ask. So I want you to do that when you're out there. Just whenever anyone's asking you a question, it could be something as simple as, how's your day been? Like, for me, you can get a lot about that, especially if it's someone that you met for the first time randomly. And they're just like, how's your day been? In my mind, I'm like, man, this person is really considerate, right? Or, based off of what I know, this person may be, and this is just the way it is. You have to be aware of everything. What does this person want? It's like the funny quote you see on the TV show where the kids come in and they're like, Dad, is this a new shirt you're wearing? And the dad goes, what do you want? The answer is no. Festus, sorry, you're going to say something?
No, I was just saying, absolutely. You got to figure out what they want behind what they, oh, yeah, that's nice. Okay, what you want from me, man? What do you want?
Absolutely. And that's what we talked about when we talked about being observant, using those 5 senses, listening to what that person's saying, looking at them, looking at, their appearance, looking at what they're looking at. You have to be observant of your situation. You have to be observant of your environment when you're dealing with these things, okay? And it's, like we said, it's mental exercise. If you're trying to get better at basketball, do you just watch clips of basketball, or do you actually practice what you're watching, right? You gotta go out there and practice. It's the same thing with yourself, like with living and being and knowing and doing, right? Just like we talk about with LYS, all right? So you utilize that tool to help you out. We have a couple more slides. Let me see how many more. We do have a couple more slides here, but it is 3:07. I want to give us an opportunity here to wrap up, and then we'll finish this tomorrow. We'll finish this next week, and then we'll start off with, we'll probably be going into culture after that, all right? Festus, you got anything you want to say to wrap up before we go?
No, most def. I'm really interested in hearing Amoye and Shola's opinion on the things we talked about today. Since we kind of closed out, they got a chance to hear a little bit more. So if y'all want to maybe like 1 minute each to just give us a little bit of feedback, and yeah, we go from there. We good? Okay.
They said they ain't learn nothing. They ain't learn nothing. It was boring. They ain't learn about nothing we had to say.
Okay. So
I got some.
okay, go ahead, Shola.
Yeah. So I just learned that. Sorry. I just learned that you can't get anywhere without trying. Like, I know for me coming out of college, like I wasn't ready to expose myself to the world because I was like, I'm not ready. I felt like I was still a kid. So it's like, I can't go out into the world because, they're going to think that I'm just a baby. I'm not going to listen to what I have to say. But from this talk, I learned that, they're going to criticize you anyway. So you might as well just go out and, go out and fail and then pick yourself up after you fail and then, adjust accordingly. Just, mold yourself into who you are and into someone who can thrive in the real world. So yeah, that's just one thing.
That's key, man. That's key. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and that's the reason why, again, we're here every Sunday, 2:00, is because, just looking back from where we came from, we didn't have a lot of great mentorship, and we just had to figure things out by trial and error. And, thank God those things didn't, completely crush us, even though some of them were pretty bad, right? Like some of them were pretty bad. Olay coming to get me from jail sometimes. And, I know he had some things that he struggled through school with. Some things he just kept secret, man. It's like, dang, for real, Olay? Like, golly. It's like, man, I didn't know you were struggling with that. You know what I mean? So, but
it's the influence thing, man. It's the influence thing. Like
yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm like, golly, that's wild though.
It's like people looking at you, it's like, why? I am not right now. You should not, do not look here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And so yeah, so we just want to provide, again, an outlet for some dialogue, but then also to share some things that they just don't talk about as much in schools and even in some mentoring programs. You go to some mentoring programs and they're like these kind of robotic, if you wear a suit and tie and dress nice, you'll succeed in life. And it's like, you can wear a suit and tie all you want to. If you don't know how to connect with people and have interpersonal skills, how to dialogue, know how they influence you and stuff like that. He said, thugs and gangsters, old Denzel Training Day type dude. No, man, you made me think about a show where it's like, I forgot that show where it's like, the dude was wild and then he got like tamed and then he's like, he tried not to come out his shell again. But anyway, yeah, so that's why we do this. And so again, we're here every Sunday. So please tune in, share this with your friends. If you haven't already, just share this with your friends so that way, again, they can hear the recording and get that feedback. And again, it encourages us because we're like, man, we don't want to talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? So that helps us to make sure we're getting things out there. Even though we could go look at the data later, I go look at the data. We do have some very strong data that's saying that people are really tuning into this. So anyway, long story short, listen, there are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no legitimate excuse for not getting an education. I'm Festus Amoye. He is Mr. Olay Shorunke. Daniel Hill, always holding us up. Thank you so much. Again, Amoye, Shola, thank you guys for being here. And with that, we are complete. We out.
Oh, you're still there? Well, thank you so much for listening to the LYS podcast.